the first leg, we never performed that well. I know there was an own goal, I think, by Fabian McCarthy. So we just assumed that New Zealand was not at our level in the first game. Even if I never played, but obviously when the guys came back, you're in camp and we start talking. So we knew that if we were complacent, there was a chance that we wouldn't win. And that has always been the downfall of all South African national teams. We arrive there and we think we won the game just because of the name. And we were definitely not complacent because we came through a very difficult qualifying group. So if you've come through that qualifying group, which we did then qualify to do the further playoffs, you have the ability. It's just your application. So I think the week leading up to that was such a different one because we were all switched on from the Monday. Because the norm is when we come in, you familiarize each other. We haven't seen each other for a while, and then you start getting serious Wednesday onwards. But I think like from the Monday, it was focus from the word go. There was so much turbulence, political turbulence off the field that tried to derail it. And till this day, for the life of me, I can't understand why. As a country, we were readmitted into international sports. Bafana went on to win the 96. You want that continuity. So you have a junior team that has a bit of quality in it. So qualifying not only for under 20 World Cup, but for the Olympics. Why would you try and derail that? Why would you not allow the Quinton Fortunes, the Benny McCarthys, the Nomvetes to come and play? So not having some of our key players in the qualifiers and still qualifying, that really gave guys confidence in the team to say, listen, we can do this. And number two is the guys are playing in Europe because everybody moves at their own time. The guys are playing Europe because we can do this. We can also go to Europe. So we got to believe in ourselves, and that certainly gave us the confidence going into the playoffs to say, listen, no matter who it is, we've overcome Ghana at home. We've overcome Cameroon at home with the likes of Patrick Mboma. So there's no other team that can stop us. We're the only team that can beat ourselves, I guess.
I think we had so much to look forward to in the year 2000. We had a newly professional league for maybe 5 years or 4 years at the time, the new PSL, got the Olympics on the radar. We knew that, there was all the dreams of host a World Cup coming, and we had this great group of players, this like golden generation, if you like. So, I think being a football fan was really cool. It was a lot of fun. It also had only been how many years since we won the Nations Cup, 96. So there were all these like building blocks and this momentum. So, to be able to play games in the township versus playing at Soccer City was great. And it was always going to be packed to the rafters. And there was a real like bubbling energy, and passion. Almost like an expectation, not a hope that we would win, but an expectation that our current under 23s can also be champions, just like Clive's Bafana 4 or 5 years before. And especially that you had so many players that were already either in Europe or playing first team football at a high level, as most of Sheikh's squad were. So there's a real expectation that we are winning and that we will score goals, that we will see quality football. And there were so many names in that team, crowd favorites, if you like. I think of Jabu Pule, Steve Lekolea, Stigger himself, many that the fans loved and adored, which just made it was just great, exciting times.
You know what? I have to go back a little bit in maybe 2-3 years because I think Shakes Mashaba as a coach has really learned from the travels to Africa, because it's well documented. When you travel to Africa, it's always a difficult situation. So I think Shakes chose number one because the pitch and the fans were always going to come. It's an area in Johannesburg on the outskirts of the East Rand that doesn't get football, but there's a lot of football loving people there, like a lot of places in South Africa or in Johannesburg, wherever it may be. But we knew that we're going to get the crowd, and it was such an intimidating space to be in, because it's like similarly to the English stadiums. The fans literally sit on top of you. It's in the middle of nowhere, and there wasn't even a hint of, if we were not playing well, there was jeering or changing or this. There wasn't even a hint of that. This was people that were kind of say, why us? Why are you bringing all this quality to us? We're saying thank you and we supported you. So not only at games, and Neil will know this, the day before when we train at the field, at training, it is packed. There's a good 2,000-3,000 kids just running around watching us train. So I think the stadium itself, the setting, the area, and also I think the intimidation factor, because when you come into Vosloorus, it's the busiest place you can ever visit. So I think a visiting team coming into that space, walking into that small change room and coming out there and being jeered at, and we just had like support like you cannot believe. So I think that was the special part that Shakes understood. We needed to take them to a place where we're going to be supported, and something that's a bit intimidating as well.
If I'm honest, I mean, I think the frustrating part, at the time, the young Siyabonga Nombete, he had bags of pace, it would often get caught offside. And I think Stigger knows, we've learned, over the years, but in those days you had a raw and rough Bele with just bags of pace and ability, and you'd often find a slightly more organized team, maybe call New Zealand that, they would be able to frustrate the pace of the likes of Nombete. And so I think what we remember is we had a lot of possession, and typically the pace and the possession was there, but Siyabonga would be offside or running too early and not receiving the ball. And so I think in general you can get quite frustrated, because you think these guys are going to organize themselves so hard that we're going to go till the end and see a frustrating, man, we had the possession but we couldn't break this team down. And I think that started to happen in the first half. And then you think, we've only got 45 more minutes. Where's the breakthrough going to come? So, I just remember being nervous that we would overrun things or keep the ball and maybe not know how to break them down by the end of the game.
Yeah, but I think Neil's nerves came on to us, because I remember it's like we knew what we wanted to do, but it just wasn't falling for us. We'd create the space down the flanks, and then the cross wouldn't be good enough. Or we've had a nice build up and then Bele's caught offside. So it was very nerving, because we knew we'd win, but you just needed that first goal to settle the nerves, because we'd won 3-2. So we just needed one goal to make it to calm the nerves, if you will. But it was very, very intense. Even halftime, there wasn't even much talking, because Shakes was just like, he was so nervous he wouldn't do the normal coaching, and it was very, very a difficult game, a very cagey game to be in, knowing the stakes that was up for the game.
Just the image, of little Matsau, short little Masaro, they used to call him, I think.
Yes, Matsau.
Like he swiveled when he took the shot. Now he obviously had a sharp left foot, and he swiveled and buried the ball. I mean, he was very nimble and small and well balanced and low gravity, a sense of gravity. But when he that image is still in my mind, where he swiveled to shoot, and his whole body was off the ground, leaning backwards, and with his Addy Copper Mundials, and that was the image.
Size fives, Copper Mundial size fives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was the image. Matsau had come on, and I mean, over the years, South Africa's had many of these kind of strikers who. You think of Andries Sabola and others. I mean, I think Andries was part of the AmaGlug-glug in the lead up in the early years of that team. Guys who would not always play 90 minutes, but you knew that they could come on and make something happen. And people believed that about Daniel Matsau, and he delivered the goods. I mean, he came on and scored in the 87th, was it? Yeah. So he'd been on the field for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
So Daniel Matsau, Neil, was no stranger to scoring goals for the national teams, you know. It takes me back to the first time I played an official game for the junior national team. It was under Shakes, and Daniel Matsau was with me. And our first qualifiers was against Mauritius. I think Daniel scored 2 goals. So Daniel would always pop up when we need important goals. That was Masauro for you. His quality was unquestionable. Yes, the Nomvetes came through. Yes, the Benny McCarthy's were there. There was a number of other players knocking on Nkosinati Nkleko, Kukame. There was so much qualities, but Matsau, if he started, he'd score. If he came on as a sub, he'd score. And it was like, okay, if we can't get a goal from these two, Matsau's going to get something for us.
Yeah, well, those days, I mean, I think it was straight out from the nightclub somewhere in Cape Town, straight to the office. Eh? I mean, we'd been out celebrating, and we knew that our editor back in the day, Richard Maguire, he was a lot younger then. He didn't have children. Don't even know if he was married. I think he was married, but he could work hard and he could lead the line, you know. So I think as youngsters who were either playing football out with their friends or working on a football mag, we were living a dream, you know. So we knew that after the game, if we got the result, celebrate, but then know that you're going to work the whole of Sunday evening, and then Monday off to print. But then Monday you carry on with the normal magazine as well. So you're going to be like putting in the yards. And I remember even Ryan Wilkes at work that Sunday doing the photos. It was good time, eh? Ian Williams, Zola Doda, yeah, Lindsay. So we were there cracking through the magazine, and we had Benny. I think Benny was our guest editor. You know, we wanted to do something different.
Oh, no.
So Benny did a couple of photos in the office, and he got involved and had some fun. But he didn't really do much work. He just posed for those publications and that time were great to work on. Something unique.
Yes, it was joyous. Everybody was celebrating, but it never hit home, you know. And even when you went to the Olympics, it was like, for me personally, it was like, okay, you're going to get your chance now. Now, here's your chance to go to Europe. So it was always about playing at the highest level. And as a team, we've got the opportunity now to go out there onto the international stage and really try and climb the ladder. The ladder to success that we were fortunate to be exposed to with the Under-20 World Cup. I'm always making reference to Under-20 World Cup because for me, it was like one big journey that started off, you're going to a World Cup. The first World Cup that South African football has ever attended, you know, before the senior team. And you travel and you arrive there 2 days before. You don't acclimatize. You go down to breakfast. There's a 5-star spread there, and you start eating. And then across the table is the French team with Henri and company, and they're having water and they have vitamins, and there's a set breakfast, you know. So that learning curve, it's like, yes, we were there, but we were not really there. Now we can compete. Now we're going to go toe to toe because we will arrive early. We are playing at a decent level. Some of us are playing at a high level. Our diet is a little bit better. We might have 2 or 3 sets of boots now. We've got the 6 pins, you know. So that learning curve, it's like, okay, now let's go out there and compete and make a name for ourselves. So all of this emotion is like, it's yes, we're there, but this is the opportunity. And I think that's what really resonated with me. Sitting in the change room, going back to the hotel, and even going back home, because I stayed in Joburg, so it wasn't too far to travel. So I really felt that it was an opportunity, and we never celebrated it for too long.